in solemnity for the playing of the African Union anthem.
Welcome to the launch ceremony for the commencement of trading under the African Continental Free Trade Area. I'm Mark Edo, your MC for this historic day. Stay with us for the next hour as we hear from some of the key figures from across Africa who've helped make today a reality. We will also hear from people across Africa. We'll see some great films that illustrate just how transformative the AFCFTA will be to our great continent. Now, we have live interpretation in Arabic, English, French, Portuguese, and Swahili. Just click on the button at the bottom of the screen to choose your preferred language. Yes, today is the day when our collective efforts to create a free trade area that spans the length and breadth of our beautiful continent are truly realized. Today, the 1st of January, 2021, the AFCFTA truly goes live. In terms of the number of participating countries, the AFCFTA is the world's largest free trade area since the formation of the World Trade Organization, and it's now open for small, medium, and big enterprises to trade with each other. Such great opportunities for business and for consumers. One continent, one trade area, the AFCFTA is a major step towards creating the Africa we want. I'm pleased now to welcome the opening statement from the gentleman at the helm of the African Union's drive to integrate trade across the continent. He is, of course, His Excellency, Mr. Wamkele Mene, Secretary General of the AFCFTA.
Thank you very much, Mark, and good afternoon to Africans all over the length and breadth of the African continent. It is truly today a historic day, a day in which we start trading officially under the preferences of the African Continental Free Trade Area. a day in which today we take Africa a step closer to the vision of an integrated Africa, a vision of an integrated market on the African continent. This African Continental Free Trade Area should not just be a trade agreement. It should actually be an instrument for Africa's development. And indeed, in this regard, we have seen the World Bank produce a report that projects that by the year 2035, where as Africans we implement this agreement effectively, we have the opportunity to lift out of poverty 100 million Africans. And the majority of those 100 million Africans that will be lifted out of poverty, where we effectively implement this agreement, are women in trade. The opportunity to close the salary gap, the gender gap in terms of salary, is presented by this agreement. The opportunity for small, medium enterprises across the African continent to access new markets is presented by the African Continental Free Trade Area. And we are working very closely with our technical partners to develop digital technology platforms that will enable connectivity of small, medium enterprises, that will enable connectivity of young Africans in trade, so that this agreement does not benefit only the big corporations on the African continent, but that it should benefit also women in trade and young Africans. We have partnered to make this day a reality over the last few years. We worked very closely with UNECA. We worked very closely with Afreximbank, with the Afro Champions, with UNCTAD. And recently, we have started partnering with the UNDP. We today, as Africans, are witnessing the beginning of a new chapter in terms of trade and investment relations of the African continent. And I have to say that as an African, I am truly proud today, because 55 countries have signed this agreement. Out of 55, 54 have signed this agreement. 33 countries have ratified the agreement. Over 40 countries have submitted their offers, which signals that Africa is ready to start trading today on the basis of new rules, new preferences that will ensure that the African market is integrated. We have to take, as Africans, active steps to overcome the smallness of our national economies, to overcome the lack of economies of scale. And we have to take active steps to make sure that we place Africa on a path to industrial development, accelerated industrial development, so that by the year 2035, we're able to double intra-Africa trade and double intra-Africa trade in value-added goods. As I've observed before in the past, we have to take active steps to dismantle the colonial economic model that we inherited and that we sustained over the last 50 years. We have to stop being exporters of primary products to countries of the North. We have got to make sure that we establish industrial development capacity on the African continent, so that we create jobs on the African continent, and so that we completely rely on Africa, self-sufficiency in Africa. And if anything, COVID-19 has demonstrated, it is that Africa is overly reliant on the export of primary commodities, overly reliant on global supply chains. And we know when the global supply chains are disrupted, we know that Africa suffers. We know that when the global commodities markets are subdued, we know that Africa suffers. So we've got to take active steps to make sure that Africa's industrial development is accelerated. And this African Continental Free Trade Area and the trading that starts today are the first steps that we have to take in that direction. Today, we will be hearing from our heads of states. We will hear from the chairperson of the Assembly of Heads of States, President Ramaphosa. We will hear from President Mahamadou Issoufou, the leader and champion of the AFCFTA. We will hear from President His Excellency Akufo-Addo, who is, of course, the host of the AFCFTA Secretariat in Ghana. And we will hear from His Excellency Musa Faki Mohammed, the chairperson of the African Union Commission. We have also invited our strategic partners, Afrexim Bank, UNECA, the Afro Champions, and others will also share their thoughts on what this day means to them as relevant and very important stakeholders. And so I want you Africans to join me as we take a step closer to the vision of an integrated Africa, the Africa that we want. I thank you.
Get ready to trade. As Africa welcomes the AFCFTA start of trading on 1st of January 2021. The African Continental Free Trade Area, our area. From our cities, to our farmlands, to all four corners of our great continent, we're a dynamic and fast-growing market of 1.2 billion people, with a combined GDP of at least $2.5 trillion, eliminating most tariffs and cutting miles of red tape means exporting our goods within our continent will be cheaper and easier. It means business opportunities for millions of our people, lifting millions more out of poverty, and generating jobs for our growing youth, empowering women, creating new value chains and supply chains to connect our SMEs, startups, and small traders to new business. Manufacturing, farming. It's Africa's industrial exports that will benefit the most. The AFCFTA will encourage us to modernize and mechanize so we can add value to our goods, strengthening Africa for the fourth industrial revolution, helping realize the vision of a self-reliant and resilient Africa, the Africa we want.
And if you want more information on the AFCFTA and the commencement of trading, please visit www.afcfta.au.int. Yes, today is indeed an historic day. For the AFCFTA to thrive, it needs to be built on a platform of partnerships. Together, we can build a free trade area that will accelerate sustainable development across the continent. Coming up in a moment, you'll hear from the high-level dignitaries. But first, let's see a film which demonstrates how innovative public-private partnerships can transform even the bleakest crisis into an opportunity. With the Africa Center for Disease Control at the helm, a digital bridge has been built across labs, airlines and ports to enable full travel resumption without risking a surge in infections. This is the timely story of trusted travel.
African unity is a spiritual place, a place of pilgrimage, ever so near, ever so distant. But never has the dream of one Africa economically united, proud and strong on the global stage seemed so tantalizingly close as it was in January of 2020.
And the African Continental Free Trade Area was initially scheduled to commence on the 1st of July this year.
All is set in Accra, Ghana for the official commissioning of the Africa Continental Free Trade Area Secretariat any time from now.
The start of trading under the finally arrived Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement, AFCFTA, was barely a few months away. On 1st July, a dream many have given their lives to see was on the horizon of reality. One continental market open to all of Africa's enterprising people.
Beyond the borders, a German tourist has died from the coronavirus in Egypt, becoming the first fatality of COVID-19 to be recorded in Africa.
That a suspected case of COVID-19 has tested positive.
That the Ministry of Health has confirmed the first coronavirus case in Kenya.
Then COVID struck. ACFTA, like many dreams, was shattered. Hopes were dashed, plans scattered as borders slammed shut and planes screeched to a halt on runways. No one was going anywhere. If people can't cross borders to visit their neighbors, unity and trade become hollow vestiges of some grand fable. But Africa cannot be cowed for long.
Welcome to the Africa CDC COVID-19 Trusted Travel Portal. This portal aims to promote...
That is the story of Trusted Travel, an African Union public-private initiative spearheaded by the Africa Centers of Disease Control and the Panabios Consortium, convened by Afro champions and backed by technologies from pioneering African companies, Econet and Cold Chain. Wielding the creative vitality of its technology visionaries, Africa could reopen borders and flower the skies again and put AFCFTA back on track. Trusted travel is like a thread weaving through a network of airlines, laboratories, government border posts, and the shimmering screens of apps upon apps. Whether it is a COVID-19 test taken in one West African city or a yellow fever vaccine jab received in some East African rural clinic, technological ingenuity can now transform that simple event into a digital seal transparent to the machines of progress, a door opener for travelers across the continent, all the while keeping disease at bay by shutting every means of fraud and fakery in the issuance of testing or vaccine certificates. And if, perchance, one must visit a cinema or sports event, the same technology can be your companion too, surrounding you in a bubble of safety, real and psychological.
As Kenya is preparing for the eventual resumption of air travel, and as Malika Kazi
We've all been waiting for the opening of our borders. There will be strict rules in place when our borders open to travellers from tomorrow. This follows the easy...
Now we can return to the things that matter to us, resume our journey as a continent to serious economic integration, ensure that AFCFTA takes off with us into glory come January 1st, 2021.
Upload your test result as soon as it is ready. On the dashboard, select check-in. Select your departure port and your arrival port.
We have no time to lose. We have nothing deeper than the trust that binds our highly diverse continent into one. That is why we are on this journey together. This is the story of trusted travel, reopening Africa for good.
The African Continental Free Trade Area is an economic game changer that has the potential to transform African economies and significantly raise Africa's share of global trade to position the region as an increasingly dynamic force in international trade. There's still so much to do, but our leaders are committed to working in solidarity to make 2021 the year of the AFCFTA. Now, it's my honor to invite statements from the leader and champion of the AFCFTA process and President of the Republic of Niger, His Excellency Mahamadou Issoufou, the President of the Republic of Ghana, His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo, and the Chairperson of the African Union and President of the Republic of South Africa, His Excellency Cyril Ramaphosa. But first, we welcome His Excellency Moussa Faki Mahamat, Chairperson of the African Union Commission.
Excellencies, Head of State and Government, ladies and gentlemen, today is a historic day for Africa. In 1963, the founders of the Organization of African Unity had a vision of creating an African common market. The start of trading under the African Continental Free Trade Area today is the operational start towards the African common market. It has been a long journey of focus, determination, and resilience. The fruits portend well for creating a large African market of 1.27 billion people. In addition, this development brings real hope for inclusive, sustainable industrialization across Africa. The Made in Africa standard will become a key element of intra-African trade. During the 13th extraordinary session of the Assembly of Heads of State and Government, which convened on 5th December 2020, the Assembly witnessed the transfer of AFCFTA trading instruments to the Secretary General of the AFCFTA Secretariat. Based on agreed rules of origin and tariff offers from 41 countries and customs unions, as of today, Africa is in a position to start trading on over 81% of products on preferential terms. As directed by the Assembly of Heads of States, we shall conclude the remainder of the negotiations by July 2021. We have been able to achieve this significant progress as a result of the leadership of His Excellency President Mahamadou Issoufou, the leader and champion of the AFCFTA. 54 countries out of 55 have signed the agreement establishing the AFCFTA, and today, 34 countries have ratified the agreement to bring us a step closer to the vision of an integrated Africa and to fulfilling the objectives of Agenda 2063, the Africa